Tokyo, Japan. June 26, 1976, Nippon Budokan Arena. Muhammad Ali stood in the corner of a boxing ring. But this wasn't a boxing match. Across from him stood Antonio Inoki, 224 pounds of pure Japanese wrestling power, trained in catch wrestling, judo, and a dozen martial arts Ali had never heard of. The crowd of 14,000 screamed. Millions more watched on closed-circuit television around the world. This was billed as the War of the Worlds, boxer versus wrestler, sport versus sport, America versus Japan. Ali, the greatest heavyweight champion in history, had agreed to this spectacle for $6 million. Easy money, he thought. How hard could it be to beat a wrestler? But as the bell rang for round one, Antonio Inoki dropped to the ground and started kicking at Ali's legs like a snake striking at prey. Ali danced backward, confused. "Get up and fight like a man," he shouted. Inoki didn't get up. He stayed on his back, spinning, kicking, attacking Ali's legs with brutal precision. By round 9, Ali's legs were shredded. Blood seeped through his white boxing trunks. His corner was screaming at him to stop. Doctors were preparing for the worst, and in that moment, Muhammad Ali realized he had made the biggest mistake of his career. But let's go back, because the real story isn't what happened in the ring. It's what led Ali to step into that ring in the first place. A story of ego, desperation, and the dangerous game of fighting outside your world. 1976 was a strange year for Muhammad Ali. He was 34 years old, still heavyweight champion, still the greatest. Butt cracks were showing. His speed wasn't what it used to be. His reflexes had slowed. The wars with Frazier and Foreman had taken their toll. He needed money. Despite earning millions, Ali was notoriously bad with finances. He gave money away freely to mosques, to friends, to anyone with a sad story. His entourage was massive, and he paid for everything. Then came a Japanese promoter named Ichiro Hata with an offer. $6 million for a single exhibition match against Japan's wrestling champion, Antonio Inoki. $6 million for one fight against a wrestler. Ali's team was skeptical. His trainer, Angelo Dundee, said, "Champ, this don't smell right. Wrestlers don't fight like boxers. This could get messy." But Ali laughed it off. "A wrestler? Come on, Angelo. I'm the heavyweight champion of the world. I'll dance around him for 15 rounds, make it look good, collect my money. Easy." What Ali didn't know was that Antonio Inoki wasn't just a wrestler. He was a legend in Japan, a pioneer of strong-style wrestling, a man trained in legitimate martial arts, someone who had fought bears literally and broken opponents' bones in the ring. Inoki saw this as more than an exhibition. He saw it as a chance to prove that wrestling, real wrestling, not the choreographed American version, was superior to boxing. This wasn't going to be a show. This was going to be a war. As soon as the fight was announced, chaos erupted. Boxing purists were outraged. "This is a disgrace to the sport," they said. "Ali is turning boxing into a circus." Wrestling fans in Japan were thrilled. Finally, someone would prove that their sport was tougher than boxing. But the real problem was, nobody knew what the rules would be. Could Inoki tackle Ali? Could he use submissions? Could Ali kick? Were takedowns allowed? The negotiations became a nightmare. Ali's team wanted strict boxing rules. Inoki's team wanted open combat. They compromised with a bizarre hybrid rule set. Inoki could not tackle, throw, or grapple Ali while standing. Inoki could only attack from the ground. Ali could only punch, while standing kicks were allowed. But only from the ground. The rules were designed to protect Ali, but they created something nobody expected. They turned Antonio Inoki into a human landmine, while Ali prepared in America, treating this like a glorified sparring session. Antonio Inoki trained like a man preparing for war. Inoki studied films of Ali's fights obsessively. He watched how Ali moved, how he circled where he kept his hands. He noticed something. Ali's legs were always exposed. His hands-down style meant his lower body was vulnerable. Inoki developed a strategy. Stay on the ground. Make Ali come to him, and when Ali got close, destroy his legs with kicks. He trained his kicks for hours every day. Not flashy martial arts kicks, but brutal, bone-crunching strikes aimed at the thighs, knees, and calves. Kicks designed to cripple. Meanwhile, Ali was doing interviews, talking trash, having fun. "I'm gonna make that wrestler look silly," he told reporters. "He's gonna be crawling around on the ground while I dance. It'll be entertainment." Ali's team tried to warn him. They brought in martial artists to show him what a trained wrestler could do. Ali watched for 5 minutes, got bored, and left. "I've fought Sonny Liston. I've fought Joe Frazier. I've fought George Foreman," Ali said. "You think I'm scared of a wrestler?" He wasn't scared, but he should have been. When Ali landed in Tokyo, he was treated like a god. Thousands of fans mobbed the airport. News helicopters followed his motorcade. He was the biggest star on the planet. At the press conference, Ali put on a show. He shot. He recited poetry. He predicted Inoki will fall in 5. Antonio Inoki sat quietly, watching. He didn't speak English well, but he didn't need to. His eyes said everything. "I'm going to hurt you," a Japanese reporter asked. Inoki threw a translator. "Do you think you can defeat Muhammad Ali?" Inoki responded in Japanese, his voice calm and cold. The translator hesitated, then said, "Mr. Inoki says He will break Ali's legs if necessary. The room went silent. Everyone thought it was trash talk. It wasn. Single quotes T. 3 days before the fight, Ali's team finally got serious. They demanded new rules. No leg kicks. No ground fighting. Just stand-up striking. Inoki refused. We agreed to the rules. I trained for these rules. If Ali is afraid, he should cancel. Ali's pride wouldn't let him cancel, but his team was panicking. Angelo Dundee pulled Ali aside. Champ, listen to me. This man is dangerous. He's not playing. We need to take this seriously. For the first time, Ali looked worried. What do I do? Angelo, you stay on the outside. You don't chase him. You let him come to you. And if he goes to the ground, you do not follow him. It was good advice, but it would prove nearly impossible to follow. The whining was a spectacle. Ali weighed in at 230 pounds, heavier than usual, but still the prettiest heavyweight in history. Inoki weighed 224 pounds. But standing next to Ali, he looked different. Not bigger, but denser, harder, like he was carved from stone. During the face-off, Inoki did something strange. He bowed respectfully to Ali, the traditional martial arts bow. Then he looked up and said in broken English, I respect you, but I will hurt you. Ali laughed it off for the cameras, but people close to him said later that his smile looked forced. That night, Ali couldn't sleep. For the first time in years, he felt something he hadn't felt since facing Sonny Liston. Uncertainty. June 26, 1976. The Nippon Budokan Arena was electric. Japanese fans waved flags. American servicemen stationed in Japan chanted Ali Ali. The energy was unlike anything anyone had experienced. This wasn't just a fight. It was a cultural moment, East versus West, boxing versus wrestling. Two philosophies of combat meeting for the first time. In Ali's corner, Angelo Dundee was giving final instructions. Stay on the outside. Don't follow him to the ground. Just survive. Make it look good. Take the money. In Inoki's corner, his trainers were saying something different. Destroy his legs. Make him respect wrestling. The referee, a German official who understood neither boxing nor wrestling perfectly, called both fighters to the center and gave instructions in broken English and Japanese. Nobody understood him clearly. The bell rang. Round 1. Muhammad Ali came out dancing, light on his feet, hands low. The classic Ali style. He threw a few jabs into the air, testing distance. Antonio Inoki walked forward slowly. Then, suddenly, he dropped to his back, just dropped, like someone had cut his strings. He laid on the canvas, one leg extended toward Ali, the other cocked and ready to strike. The crowd gasped. What was happening? Ali stopped, confused. Get up, he shouted. Fight me standing up. Inoki didn't move. He just laid there, spinning slowly, keeping his feet pointed at Ali. Ali circled, trying to find an opening. But every time he got close, Inoki's legs shot out, a vicious kick aimed at Ali's shins. Thighs, knees. Ali jumped back. The kick whistled through the air where his leg had been a split second before. Angelo Dundee screamed from the corner. Don't get close. Stay away. The crowd was confused. They had paid to see a fight? This looked like, what was this? A boxer circling a man lying on the ground. Where was the action? But Inoki's strategy was brilliant. By staying on his back, he neutralized everything that made Ali great. Ali couldn't use his speed, his footwork, his combinations. He could only circle and wait. Round 1 ended. Nothing had happened. Round 2, Round 3, Round 4. The pattern continued. Inoki on his back, Ali circling. Occasionally Ali would dart in and throw a punch, but Inoki would kick and Ali would retreat. The crowd started booing. They wanted action. They wanted drama. This was boring, embarrassing, but something was happening that nobody noticed yet. Inoki's kicks were landing, not full power kicks. Ali was too fast for that. But glancing blows, scraping kicks, hits that landed on Ali's calves and shins. By round 5, Ali's legs were starting to hurt. Small welts appeared. His movements slowed. Angelo noticed. Champ, your legs are getting marked up. Stay further back. But Ali's pride was wounded. The crowd was booing. Millions were watching on television. He was Muhammad Ali, the greatest fighter of all time, and he was being embarrassed by a man laying on his back. In round 6, Ali made a decision. He got closer. He tried to time his punch between Inoki's kicks. He threw a jab, and at that exact moment, Antonio Inoki's right leg shot up like a piston and smashed into Ali's left thigh. Full power, direct hit. Ali's leg buckled. He stumbled backward, shock on his face. The crowd roared. Inoki had drawn first blood. From round 6 onward, the fight became a war of attrition. Ali realized he couldn't win by staying outside, but he couldn't win by getting close either. He was trapped in a strategy with no solution. Inoki, sensing weakness, became more aggressive. He started sweeping his legs in wider arcs, trying to catch Ali off balance. Some of his kicks landed on Ali's knees. Illegal hits, but the referee didn't know enough about either sport to call them. Ali's corner was in crisis. Between rounds, Dundee and his cutman examined Ali's legs. They were covered in red welts. Some were starting to swell. Champ, we might need to stop this, Dundee said. No, Ali snapped. I'm not quitting. I'm Muhammad Ali, I don't quit. But the truth was, Ali didn't know how to win. Every strategy failed. If he stayed far away, nothing happened, and he looked cowardly. If he got close, he got kicked. If he tried to punch, he exposed his legs. By round 8, Ali was limping. His left leg was badly swollen. Blood vessels had burst under the skin. Dark purple bruises spread across his thigh and calf. The television commentators were confused. Is this a fight? One asked. What are we watching? In round 9, something broke. Ali, frustrated and in pain, rushed forward. He threw a wild combination jab, cross, hook, trying to overwhelm Inoki before he could counter, but Inoki was ready. As Ali came in, Inoki unleashed his most powerful kick of the night. His right leg shot up and slammed into Ali's inner left thigh, dangerously close to the knee joint. The sound echoed through the arena. A sickening thwack. Ali's leg collapsed. He fell against the ropes, grabbing his thigh, his face twisted in agony. The referee didn't stop the fight. Nobody knew if that was legal or illegal. The rules were a mess. Ali pulled himself up using the ropes. He tried to put weight on his left leg. It barely held. Angelo Dundee was screaming at the referee, "Stop it! Stop the fight!" But Ali waved him off. "No, I can finish." He couldn't finish. Not really. But he was Muhammad Ali, and Ali never quit. Rounds 10 through 15 were a blur of pain and survival. Ali could barely move. He shuffled around the ring, keeping maximum distance from Inoki. He threw occasional jabs to show he was still fighting, but they had no power behind them. Inoki stayed on his back, conserving energy, occasionally kicking when Ali got too close. The crowd, initially disappointed, now watched in a strange mixture of horror and fascination. This wasn't the spectacle they expected. It was something else, a brutal, ugly testament to the complexity of combat. When the final bell rang, neither man had won. The judges declared it a draw, 3 judges scoring it even. Unable to determine who had done more damage, but everyone in the arena knew the truth. Antonio Inoki had done the impossible. He had fought Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all time, and survived. More than survived, he had hurt him. In the locker room, doctors examined Ali's legs. What they found was shocking. His left leg had multiple hematomas, massive blood clots under the skin. The muscles were severely bruised. 2 blood vessels had burst. There were scrapes, cuts, and swelling that would take weeks to heal. "Mr. Ali," the doctor said, "you're lucky. If one of those kicks had landed differently, it could have shattered your kneecap or torn your ACL. You might never have walked normally again." Ali sat on the bench, ice packs covering both legs, finally understanding what had happened. He had entered the ring thinking this was an exhibition, a show, easy money. But Antonio Inoki had entered the ring as a warrior defending his art, and warriors don't play. Angelo Dundee was furious. "I told you, champ. I told you this was dangerous. You could have ended your career for a payday." Ali was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that surprised everyone. "He beat me, Angelo. That wrestler beat me." "What?" "It was a draw." "No," Ali said, shaking his head. "He beat me. He fought his fight. I couldn't fight mine. That's losing." The consequences of the Inoki fight were immediate and severe. Ali's legs took months to fully heal. The blood clots required treatment. The muscle damage affected his mobility. He had to cancel his next scheduled boxing match. But the physical damage was nothing compared to what the fight did to Ali's reputation. Boxing purists called it a disgrace. Sports writers mocked it as the worst sporting event in history. The phrase "the War of the Worlds" became a punchline. But in Japan, something different happened. Antonio Inoki became a national hero. He had stood, or rather laid against Muhammad Ali, and proven that wrestling was a legitimate fighting art. More importantly, the fight planted a seed. It showed that boxers and martial artists could fight under a unified rule set. It showed that combat sports could cross boundaries. 20 years later, that seed would grow into something called mixed martial arts, the UFC. Dana White, the UFC president, would later say, "The Ali Inoki fight was a disaster. But it was an important disaster. It asked a question that we're still answering today. What happens when different fighting styles meet?" Years later, after Ali had retired and his Parkinson's disease had progressed, a reporter asked him about the Inoki fight. "That was the strangest night of my life," Ali said, his voice slow and shaky. "I went in thinking I was the greatest fighter in the world. I came out realizing I was the greatest boxer in the world. There's a difference." "What's the difference?" the reporter asked. Ali thought for a moment. "A boxer fights in a box, 4 corners, specific rules, referees who understand the sport. I was the best at that. But a fighter has to be ready for anything, any style, any strategy, and I wasn't ready for Inoki." "Do you regret doing it?" Ali smiled, that familiar smile, even through the tremors. "I regret a lot of things, but not that. Because it taught me something important." "What's that?" "That being great at one thing doesn't mean you're great at everything. And that's okay. You don't have to be the best at everything. You just have to be the best at what you do." I was the best boxer. Inoki was the best wrestler. And on that night, he did his thing better than I did mine. In the decades since, the Ali Inoki fight has become legendary for all the wrong reasons. It's remembered as a bizarre spectacle, a cautionary tale, a moment when pride and money led to disaster. But to those who understand combat sports, it's remembered differently. It's remembered as the night two warriors from different worlds met and showed that there are many ways to fight, many definitions of strength. Antonio Inoki continued wrestling for decades. He became a politician in Japan. He promoted international peace through sports. But he never forgot the night he fought Muhammad Ali, the night he proved that his art was legitimate. Muhammad Ali continued boxing for a few more years. But the Inoki fight marked a turning point. He was never quite the same after. His legs, already slowed by age, were further damaged. His movement, once poetry, became more labored. Some believe the Inoki fight accelerated his decline. Others say it was just one fight among many brutal fights. But everyone agrees, it changed him. So what really happened that night in Tokyo? On the surface, it was a draw. 15 rounds of awkward, frustrating combat that satisfied no one. But beneath the surface, something profound occurred. Muhammad Ali learned that greatness in one domain doesn't transfer automatically to another. That confidence without preparation is arrogance. That every art has its own logic, its own power, its own danger. Antonio Inoki learned that he could stand or lay with the greatest, that his art was valid, that Japan had something to offer the world of combat sports, and the world learned that when different fighting styles meet, the results are unpredictable, messy, and fascinating. The Ali Inoki fight didn't create MMA, but it asked the question that MMA answered. What happens when there are no boundaries? When boxer meets wrestler, when karate meets jiu-jitsu, when East meets West? The answer, it turns out, is chaos. Beautiful, brutal, educational chaos. In 1998, Muhammad Ali and Antonio Inoki met again at a charity event in Tokyo. Both were older. Ali's Parkinson's had progressed significantly. Inoki's wrestling career was over. They stood face to face, and without a word. Inoki bowed deeply, the same respectful bow he had given before their fight 22 years earlier. Ali, hands trembling, returned the bow as best he could. Through a translator, Inoki said, "You are the greatest boxer. I am honored to have shared the ring with you." Ali smiled and responded, his speech slow but clear, "And you taught me something important. You taught me to respect what I don't understand." They embraced. Two warriors who had once hurt each other, now showing mutual respect. A photographer captured the moment. In the photo, you can see something remarkable in both men's eyes. Not the fire of competition, but the wisdom of experience. They had both learned the same lesson that night in 1976. Greatness has many forms, and sometimes, the greatest thing you can do is acknowledge the greatness in others, especially when it's different from your own. Muhammad Ali stepped into a ring with Antonio Inoki thinking he would dominate. He stepped out knowing he had met his match, not because Inoki was better, but because Inoki was different, and in combat, different can be devastating.